Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for the University of Toronto Engineering's information session. We will be starting in a couple of minutes, so feel free to get comfortable, and we will get started very soon. Just in case you are looking for the music session, which is also happening at 3 o'clock, you can find the link for that session on the Virtual Fall Campus Day website. So my colleague Tyler is going to put that in the chat for you, just in case it is that you are looking for the music session, which is also starting at 3. Otherwise, sit back, get comfortable. We will be waiting for a couple more minutes before we get started, but thank you so much for being here today. Yeah, I just see a couple new folks joining us, so thank you so much for taking the time. This is the U of T engineering session that will be starting very shortly, but just in case you are looking for the music session, there is a link in the chat for you to find the link for that session over there. So if it is music you're looking for, in the chat, you will find the link for that. Otherwise, we are probably going to give it another 30 seconds or so before we get started for the U of T engineering session. To those of you who have just joined us, one last thank you for taking the time to be here today. This is the U of T Engineering Information session. And one last reminder that if you are looking for the music session instead, in the chat, you should see a link to the Virtual Fall Campus Day website where you can access the link for the music session. Otherwise, I am going to get started. So thank you and good afternoon from Toronto to all of you joining us today for this virtual U of T Engineering Information session. My name is Jessica, and I'm part of the U of T Engineering recruitment team here at the university. And joining me today is my colleague, Tyler Shills, who is on the back end and able to help us with answering any questions via the Q&A. Now, a couple of housekeeping items before I get started. First and foremost, closed captioning is available for our session. All you have to do is click on the button at the very bottom of the screen, noted as CC, at the bottom corner of your menu to turn on that function. The chat function, just so you know, has been disabled. So if you do have any questions for myself or Tyler, you can use the Q&A function that you'll see at the bottom. There's also an opportunity for you to upvote your questions, so we can answer the questions that most of you are curious about. And finally, we are lucky today to have a guest, Tyler, behind the scenes to help answer questions. So as I'm going through the presentation, if there are any questions that you would like to ask, you're more than welcome to put it into the chat, and then we will either answer those at the very end, or Tyler will answer them throughout, just based on how many folks are also curious about that question as well. So without any further ado, we are going to get started. So these are the things that we will be covering today. So we're going to talk a little bit about the academic experience at the university. We're going to talk about experiential learning or hands-on learning opportunities. We will talk about the community, the school community, school being the language that we use to refer to the community of students we have at U of T Engineering. And of course, I will go over admissions and finance details. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about and address, because I often find that students who are in these types of sessions are interested in either pursuing a career in the STEM field, so either engineering or science. So really wanted to start off the session with highlighting what exactly is the difference between the two. So science really helps us understand the world, understand how it works, why things are the way they are, whereas engineers are taking that knowledge and applying it to drive solutions. It is a professional degree that you are getting in engineering, and it is a professional degree in critical thinking, problem solving, which means that engineering graduates are very versatile and why you will see them in virtually every industry and field. Now, what we aim to do here at U of T Engineering is provide you with an education that really is centered on the experiential learning opportunities, customizable academics, as well as a supportive community. And through these three pillars, giving you an education that provides you with not only the technical expertise that you need to be an excellent engineer, but also the soft skills. Engineers aren't necessarily working by themselves in corners, solving math problems. It really is a field where you need to collaborate with folks from different industries, be able to communicate your ideas. So we really focus on nurturing the whole engineer. So making sure that you have both that technical knowledge as well as the soft skills to be successful after your time with us. Now, the first pillar we're going to talk about is experiential learning, or hands-on learning for short. So basically, we offer many opportunities for our students to take what they learn in the classroom and to apply it. There are also different ways that we offer to give you access to developing some skills that you might be interested in, but it might not necessarily be related directly to the discipline of engineering that you are pursuing. So for example, if you're interested in entrepreneurship, we have the Entrepreneurship Hatchery, which provides our students with the opportunities to take an idea that they have and to take it into the marketplace, or to build up a startup of their own. So the Hatchery provides our students with those resources and supports. If you're interested in leadership, we have the Troost Institute for Leadership Education and Engineering, which is a mouthful, but we call them the Troost iLead. And really, they provide students with that programming, the courses, the certificates for you to hone your leadership skills so that you can work on those and apply them both in the classroom and the teamwork and the group work that you're going to be involved in, but also after your time at the university. If you're interested in international experience, such as going abroad to a different school, where the courses that you take there will count towards your degree, that's something that you can do. We also offer short-term courses that are 2 weeks or so, where, for example, you're going to Rome to study Roman history. So that international experience is certainly something that we offer as well. If you're interested in getting workplace experience, we have something called the Professional Experience Year Co-op program, or PEY Co-op. And of course, if you are interested in research, as a research-intensive university, we do offer students the opportunity to get research experience. Now, I want to take the time to dive into the Professional Experience Year Co-op program because not many people tend to know that we offer this. You may be familiar with the traditional model of co-op, which essentially means that you're alternating between your work terms and your studies. So typically you're doing 4 months of studies and then 4 months of work, and you're alternating between the two for about 5 years of your degree. But that 5 years, in addition to your degree, you're also getting work experience. What really makes our PEY Co-op program different is the structure. So we don't follow that traditional model, and instead our students get up to 20 months of paid work experience. The structure is set up so that you're on campus for 2 years studying as full-time students before you go off to do an optional co-op during the summer, which for us is May to August, and then you'll come back to do your 3rd year of studies before you go off again to do a 12 to 16 month co-op at one company. After your co-op, you will then come back to finish off your 4th year of studies, which means that it is about 5 years that you're at U of T, but part of that is up to the 20 months of work experience. Now, what we find is that because the 12 to 16 months takes place at one company, our students really benefit from having the opportunity to dive deep into the projects that they're involved in, really seeing things from beginning to end, and really having that time to make meaningful connections with their colleagues. As I mentioned, all of the opportunities are paid. So the annual average salary last year was $56,000. And it's important for you to know that this is a supported process. What I mean by that is that engineering students have the benefit of the Engineering Career Center, who oversee the PEY Co-op process. And not only are they a resource for you in terms of providing you with the professional development that you need before you go on your co-ops, terms to really get a better understanding of what your strengths and weaknesses are, what your career goals are, and then, of course, preparing you for the recruitment cycle. It is your responsibility to find a co-op position, but that said, we will provide you with the resource to learn how to put your resume together, how to go about doing an interview. So all of that will be provided to you as a part of the co-op program. Now, if you are interested in international experience, this is an example of where some of our students have gone in the past to pursue their PEY co-op. One thing I will note is that the PEY co-op opportunity is available to both students who are currently living in Canada, as well as students who are international students as well. So all of our students are eligible for the PEY co-op. Now, we have over 400 different companies that are looking to hire our students, everything from big global names to banks to small startup companies. So there really is quite a range in terms of who is looking for our U of T engineering students for those co-op terms. Now, another piece, as I mentioned earlier, was research being an opportunity for our students. So in terms of research, we have partnerships with over 160 universities across the world. So again, if you are interested in that international experience and marrying that with your research opportunity, that definitely is something that you can do. But of course, we also have faculty members at the faculty who are looking to hire students to support the research as well. Now I'm going to switch gears to talk about our academic programs and what we offer in terms of academics. So at U of T Engineering, we have 10 different programs that fall under 2 curricular pathways. These are the core programs, which further divide into the Core 8 or the Track 1 program, as well as engineering science. So Core 8 presents the specific disciplines of engineering that we offer, and certainly the more traditional areas of engineering study. Students who are in these programs will take the same foundational first year to provide you with that strong foundation in engineering knowledge before you continue on into the specific discipline that you're in. Now, one of the questions that we get often is whether I can transfer from one of these Core 8 programs into another, and the answer is yes, but it does depend on what your academic performance is in first year, as well as whether there's space available in the program of interest. Otherwise, you can, through these Core 8 programs, study exactly what the specific discipline of engineering it is that you are interested in right from first year. Alternatively, if you know that you want engineering, but you're not really sure which discipline to pursue, we offer a program called Track 1 Undeclared. Track 1 students are taking the same first-year foundations as the students in the Core 8 programs, but one of those courses is a seminar that is geared towards teaching you exactly what each of the disciplines entail, so that at the end of your first year, provided that you're in good academic standing for both your first and your second semester, you can transition into whichever Core 8 program it is that you wish, and from years 2, 3, and 4, that is the discipline that you're in. Now, because that first year is so similar for Track 1 students and Core 8 students, Track 1 students do not have to spend any more time on campus to complete their degree. All of our degrees are 4 years in length, unless you choose to do the PEY co-op, then it is about 5 years, but again, with up to 20 months of paid work experience. Now, the second pathway is a program called Engineering Science. Engineering Science is different from our other Core 8 and Track 1 programs in that it is more theoretical. As the name suggests, engineering science, there is more theory. So if that's something that interests you, this might be a good fit. Engineering science students are also curious. They want to know why things are the way they are. And there is a first principles approach that you're using in your first 2 years of foundations. At the end of your second year, that's when you will choose one of 8 majors, which you will see listed here. And those 8 majors are whichever one you choose, that will be your focus for the remainder of your degree at the university. So this program is also different because it's 2 years of structures of foundations before students are going to choose that discipline they're interested in. Now, in addition to the discipline or program that you're choosing, there are also many ways for you to customize your experience. Firstly, you can choose to pursue a minor or certificate with the faculty. So as a part of your courses, you will have elective courses, which are courses you choose based on what your interests are. You can tailor those electives so that you gain either a minor, which is 6 courses, or a certificate, which is 3 courses in various areas like the ones listed here. We have everything from music performance to artificial intelligence to engineering business to robotics. So what's great about these minors and certificates is that it allows you to complement your main academic area of interest with something else that you're passionate about. Additionally, we also have the areas of focus. So areas of focus do differ depending on the discipline that you're in, but essentially it provides you with a grouping of courses that is related to the discipline of engineering that you are studying, so that you really get this specialized area as a part of your studies. If you're interested in the languages, social sciences, or humanities, our students also have the advantage of accessing minors from the Faculty of Arts and Science as well. So you're not just limited to what we offer within the Faculty of Applied Science and Engineering. Now, of course, we all know that university is about academics and that all those are really important, but it's just as important it's just as important for you to find your community while you are here at U of T. So I want to talk to you now a little bit about what our community at U of T Engineering looks like. We are very lucky to be one of the more tightly knit and diverse communities on campus. In fact, for the past couple of years now, we have had about 30% of our incoming class being international students coming from over 100 countries around the world. For the past 7 years, we have been at or close to 40% women in our incoming class of first-year students, which puts us as the highest proportion of women in an engineering classroom. And this is something that we're really proud of, especially as we work to achieve gender parity within a field which traditionally has been more male-dominated. Now, as a faculty, we really value this diversity within our student body because we believe it really deepens the engineering creative process and enriches the learning environment both inside and outside of the classroom for our students. Engineers, as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, are creating solutions that is meant to benefit humanity. And humanity is made up of people from different backgrounds and religions and cultures. So being exposed to this diversity when you are pursuing an engineering degree really only helps you become a better engineer because you have exposure to these different perspectives, so that the solution you are creating will truly benefit everybody. Now, the interests, passions, and backgrounds of our students are also quite diverse, and this is represented in the over 100 different engineering clubs and teams that we have available on campus. Whether it's designing a solar car to race across the Australian outback, which is what the Blue Sky Solar Racing team does, or building a concrete toboggan or canoe, our students support and lean on one another as they develop into young professionals. And what's really great about these extracurriculars that we offer within the faculty is it's a great way for you to not only apply what it is that you learn in the classroom into a real life opportunity, but it's also a really great way for you to meet other students and really build your community of folks who have the same interests as you do. Now, support and success is something that runs deeply within our community and something that we feel very strongly about. Engineering students are very lucky to have specialized services where the staff are very familiar with what the needs of engineering students are and have tailored those supports according to these needs. So this is a list of some of the supports that are available, including the first year office, which is a team of academic advisors. They offer different programming during the summer as you're transitioning into the start of your studies here at the university, but they also provide peer tutoring services. It's a free resource that you get to use, where upper year students who have done really well in their first year courses are coming back to help tutor you through your first year studies. We also have other services such as mental health and wellness advisor. We have a learning strategist, someone who you can sit down with and talk about how you learn best and how you can incorporate some of those study skills into your regular study schedule. And also specialized advisors for international students as well. So all in all, I think because of this focus we have on making sure that our students do well, 94% of our students are starting from their first year of the program into their second year. It is also important for you to note that not only do you have these access to these supports within the faculty, but as a U of T student, you also have access to the supports that are available to all U of T students. And that includes things like health and wellness and accessibility services. If you're interested in residence, we offer a number of different residents across our campus. Specifically, though, most engineering students typically will end up in Chestnut residence, which again, because there's such a strong engineering community, we offer dedicated engineering supports and services such as faculty and residence, but also having programming like Dinner with a Professor night, where faculty at U of T Engineering are invited to have dinner with students so that our students get to know them outside of that classroom setting. I will note that housing is guaranteed for all new first-year students, and there is an application that you need to complete, which I will talk about in a little bit. So again, hopefully you have gotten a sense of how through our experiential learning opportunities, customizable academics, and that supportive community, we're really aiming to provide you with that versatile education that will allow you to choose whatever career path it is that you wish after your time with us. Now, in addition to having the versatility of a engineering degree, specifically studying engineering at the University of Toronto means that you have a lot of portability to your degree as well. And what I mean by that is that U of T, because we're so well recognized worldwide, regardless of where it is you choose to pursue your career after your time at the university, employers and institutions recognize the quality of education that you have received and recognize your U of T engineering degree. Part of this also allows us, that holistic approach that we have also allows us to be have a high employability rate for our graduates, making us 11th in the world in terms of global employability for students who have graduated from the university. Now, one thing that I want to highlight before we move on is that the U of T engineering degree that we provide you, again, that portability, that versatility, but also having the opportunity to customize your academic experience and your extracurricular opportunities means that there are multiple ways for you to access industry. Here we have Laura Burgett, who is one of our alumna, and she combined her experience of working with the engineering stores and managing 8 students while she was there with her entrepreneurship, innovation, and small business certificate and her chemical engineering degree to co-found a skincare brand called 3 Ships Beauty. And I think what's really great about her experience is that it demonstrates to you the possibilities that you can get with a U of T engineering degree. Starting a skincare company probably isn't what comes to mind when you think of career paths for engineering students or engineers, graduates. But I think, again, it's that holistic approach that we provide to our degrees, as well as the opportunity for you to really customize your experience that provides these really unique opportunities for our graduates. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is admissions and finance. So the first thing that that I'm trying to show you here is what to expect over the next couple of months in terms of our admission process. So first and foremost, you need to apply through the Ontario University's Application Center web application. It's a biographical application that will collect your name, your contact information, as well as the programs that you are interested in. The deadline for it is January 15th. If you would like to be considered for early consideration, November 7th is the deadline. About 10 business days after you complete your OUAC application, you will receive access to the engineering applicant portal, which is what we'll use to communicate with you throughout the admission process. Part of that portal is our mandatory online student profile, which also is due by January 15th, but December 1st if you would like to be considered for early consideration. Now, admission decisions are made for students who are currently studying in an Ontario high school in February, March, or May. And for all other students, decisions are made between February to April. What early consideration means, so those red deadlines that you see there, is that if you abide by those deadlines, there's the possibility that you will hear back earlier on in that window, depending on where it is that you're currently pursuing your studies. If the admission committee feels like we want to wait for additional details before you make a decision, they will. So just because you abide by those early admission deadlines does not necessarily mean you'll hear back. It just all depends on the information that we have at the time we're reviewing your application. Now, a couple other things for you to note as well is that if you are a Canadian citizen or PR student and you're currently studying in a Canadian high school, there is something called the awards profile that will allow you to be considered for additional awards other than the scholarships that we offer, which I'll talk about towards the end. But this does require a separate application, so please make sure you complete it by February 1st. In addition, as I mentioned, we do have a first-year residence guarantee as long as you complete the application by the deadline. The residence application essentially is you ranking the different residents that we have available at the campus. The deadline for that is March 31st. I encourage you, even if you have not heard back with an admission decision yet, to complete the residence profile, even if you're not quite sure yet whether you want residence or not. The reason being is that it's always easier for you to decline a residence offer than it is to try and get a spot after the deadline has passed. Now, as I mentioned, the timeline for you to receive a decision is in February to April if you are not an Ontario high school student. And for this group, and if that applies to you, you have until May 1st to accept your offer of admission if you were given one. If you are an Ontario high school student, you can expect to hear back in February, March, or May, and June 3rd is the deadline that you have to say yes to your offer of admission. Now, as I mentioned, the first step is to apply through the OUAC application. There you will select your top U of T engineering program, and then you will get access to the engineering applicant portal. The engineering applicant portal is where you can check the status of your application, so you get the most up-to-date detail on your application to U of T engineering. If you are required to provide us with documents, please upload them directly to the engineering applicant portal. And whether you will need to provide us with documentation, extra documents or not, will be noted to you in the portal. This is also where you will access the online student profile, which I'll go over in the next slide. And we also have an optional census for you to fill out. It is optional, as I mentioned. It has no bearing on the admission process. It's simply so that we have a better idea of who our applicants are. If you are an international student and you would like to be considered for our scholarships, you will have to fill out the optional financial information section within our supplementary application, and any financial information you provide will be used when making decision as to whether you're eligible for our scholarships. Now, the mandatory supplementary application is called the online student profile. So you do need to fill this out in order for your application to U of T engineering to be considered complete. On the UAC, as I mentioned, it's your top U of T engineering program. When you get to here, you can choose up to 4 U of T engineering programs you would like to be considered for. We'll look at you in order of how you've ranked the program. So we'll look at your first choice. If you're not eligible, we'll look at your second choice and so forth until you've been considered to up to the 4 U of T engineering programs that you've put down. We'll always just give you one offer of admission. So let's say that we feel that we want to give you an offer for your second choice. We will, and we'll stop there. We will not consider you for your third or fourth choice. So think really carefully about what you would like to be considered for when you are ranking the programs. I will also note that the system will force you to do this, but just so you know, engineering science has to go first, track 1 has to go first. If you're interested in both, engineering science goes first and then track 1. If you're interested in the PEY co-op program, this is also where you can indicate your interest. It's a simple check mark to let us know that you are interested in being connected with services as soon as you're on campus. It does not make the admission process any more or less competitive. We are also going to ask about your academic history. So the education timeline and academic profile will capture that information. If you are not an Ontario high school student, we will also ask you to declare your grade information to us as well. And those instructions will be on the profile. I would also want to note to you and something for you to keep in mind is that at U of T Engineering, we have what we call the broad-based admission process. So what that means is that we consider more than just grades, and we take into consideration factors that will allow us to consider your achievements outside of the classroom. The reason why we do that is because, as I mentioned at the beginning, engineers, what they learn in the classroom is important, but the skills that you learn outside is just as important for the professional degrees that you're earning. So we want to emulate this in our admission process as well. So what we are covering then in terms and what we are looking for as a part of the admission process is your academic achievements, extracurricular involvement, and the personal profile. The extracurricular involvement and the personal profile will be captured in the online student profile. In terms of grades, very generally speaking, we are looking for chemistry, physics, English, and math, including calculus. Tyler will put into the chat our website that you see on this page, which will allow you to see specifically what the requirements are for the curriculum that you are studying. If English is not your first language, you might be required to provide us with proof of English facility. These are some of the tests that we do take for you to meet the English language requirement. Again, Tyler will put that in the chat so that you can look into detail as to what other tests we take in addition to these ones. Now, extracurricular involvement. So extracurricular involvement basically is capturing any of your involvement outside of the classroom. This does not have to be math or science related. It could be part-time jobs. It could be volunteering. It could be sports. It could be clubs. It could be contests. It could be awards. Basically, what we want to see is how your involvement has allowed you to demonstrate skills such as teamwork, communications, and leadership. As a part of the application, you will have a box to describe the activity that you are partaking in. So for example, if you play soccer, don't just say, I play soccer. What do you do on the soccer team? Do you help run drills? Do you help run practices? What has that allowed you to develop in terms of skills? Leadership, perhaps? Teamwork, perhaps? This is what we really want to see this is really what we want to see when we're reviewing your application. So be mindful and think very carefully as to how it is you want to communicate this to us. Keeping in mind that this really is your opportunity to stand out from the rest of the crowd when it comes to your application. We will require you to provide us with a reference, so someone who can verify that you've been part of an activity, but we don't require reference letters. Something for you to note is that we do use the extracurricular involvement for both admission and scholarship consideration. Now, lastly, we have the personal profile, which is 3 questions that is assessing your problem solving, your critical thinking, and your communication skills. These 3 questions take about 30 minutes for you to complete. 2 of them are answered via video and 1 is a written response. So the question will be pre-recorded out of a pool of questions. You'll have the question communicated to you. You'll have a couple minutes to prepare. So we encourage you to have a pen and paper ready to kind of jot down your notes. And then you'll have 2 to 3 minutes to provide us with that video response and about 10 minutes to provide us with the written response. There's no way really you can prepare, as we're not asking you to solve any math problems or any equations. There's no questions that requires you to have a correct or not correct answer. Really, what we're trying to get is those problem solving and communication skills. You can expect that 1 question will be a creative problem solving question and 1 will be an interview-like question. Now, lastly, I want to touch upon our scholarship awards and financial aid opportunities. So these are separated based on needs-based opportunities, which require demonstration of financial need, or merit-based opportunities, which is based on your academic and extracurricular achievements. So when it comes to needs-based opportunities, if you are a domestic student, meaning that you have Canadian citizenship or PR in Canada, then you may be eligible for any provincial student loan funding program. What they are will differ depending on the province that you're in, but one example is the OSAP, or the Ontario Students Assistance Plan, here in the province of Ontario. We also have a program called the University of Toronto Advanced Planning for Students, or UTAPS. It does require you to apply through the Needs Navigator, which Tyler, I'm hoping you can share with our group here. But essentially, UTAPS is grants, which is money that you don't have to pay back. And if you've maximized the amount of funding that the provincial student loan program can provide, and there's still additional need, UTAPS will kick in to provide you with the funding that you need to help you with your education commitments in terms of finances. If you are an international student, unfortunately, because the University of Toronto is a publicly funded institution, we are not able to provide you with financial aid support. We encourage you to go take a look at what your country is offering for students who are looking to study abroad to help you with supporting your education goals. In terms of merit-based opportunities, so all of our students are considered for admission scholarships automatically. And again, that is based on your extracurricular involvement as well as your academic performance. As a reminder, international students who would like to be considered for the U of T Engineering International Scholar Award will need to provide us with their financial information in the online student profile. There are more additional awards that may require you to complete an application or be nominated. So for Canadian students, that would be the National Scholarship Program. For international students, that would be the Lester B. Pearson Scholarship. So Tyler, if you don't mind, once again, putting the link for our finance page, I encourage you to take a look there for details. All right, so thank you so much for tuning in today. This is basically the last slide that I have before we go to the question and answer. So if you do have any questions, please feel to put it into the Q&A at this time. Before I get to that, though, I just wanted to note a couple ways in which you can continue to stay involved and connected with us. I encourage you to go on our website. Again, Tyler can share that with you, and it will have more details as to everything I talked about today, including the opportunity for you to download a view book, which is a publication that we have to give you a little bit more insight into the faculty. You can also, if you have the chance to come by on campus, book a student-led tour so you can get the student perspective while checking out our facilities. And there's also, as I mentioned, more videos, profiles, and whatnot that you can go and check out yourself. We are also on social media, so please follow us to get a better sense of what it is that we offer here at U of T Engineering. And finally, if you have any questions, engineering@utoronto.ca is the website for you. All right, so at this time, I'm going to pull up the questions to see if there's any that I can help answer at this time. First off, the question I see is, do you have a dual degree program? So unfortunately, no, we don't offer dual degrees. If you are looking to study a different discipline other than engineering, the minors that you can do with the Faculty of Arts and Science might be the best opportunity for you. Sorry, let's see here. Someone's asking, what is the minimum requirement for mechanical engineering? So I'm taking international A level. So again, I would encourage you to take a look at our website for those specific requirements that we are looking for our students. To give you a sense of what we're looking for in terms of academic ranges, though, using Ontario students as an example. So for programs like Track 1, Engineering Science, and Electrical and Computer Engineering, we're looking at students in the past couple of years have had admission averages in the ranges of the low to mid 90s. For all of our other Core 8 programs, you're looking at high 80s to low 90s. Of course, the stronger your grades, the stronger your application to the faculty. But again, keep in mind that it's not just grades that we look at. We also take into consideration those extracurriculars as well as your responses to those personal profile questions. So all those three pieces are equally important in the admission process. Now, a second question that I have, an excellent question here, is on the OUAC, I'm not sure whether I want co-op. Should I select yes or no? Do I have to make a decision now, or can I decide later? So you can note on the OUAC whether you are interested in the co-op program or not. You can always opt out of the program if you realize that it's not the best fit for you. If you would like to opt in later on, once you're a student at U of T, you can do that. The latest you can opt into the program is, I believe, the end of fall semester of your second year. That said, I encourage you, even if you are considering the co-op program, to indicate yes, so that you can take full advantage of the program. If you opt in later on, it just might mean that you need to do a little bit of work to catch up with the programming that was provided in first year. But again, you can opt in and opt out later on once you're a U of T engineering student. A student is asking here, how many classes per semester would you be expected to take in engineering science? Great question. So usually you're looking about 6 to 7 courses per semester. Tyler, if you don't mind, I believe on our website, we do share the specific courses that students are taking. So if you don't mind sharing that link with that student, that would be fantastic. Another question here is, could you give us examples of exchanges with other universities? Certainly. So I don't quite honestly know all the I don't know all the universities that we have partnerships with, but we do have an excellent website that is run by the Center for International Experience that you can check out to see all the opportunities that are available. I believe it's learningabroad.utoronto.ca, but maybe perhaps Tyler sees answering someone's question right now. But if Tyler, if you have a chance, if you can share the learningabroad.utoronto.ca website, that would be greatly appreciated. Another student here is asking, in the English requirement, is asked for TOEFL IBT, including home and paper edition, but I have the TOEFL IBT done at examination center. Is that enough? If you don't mind following up via engineering@utoronto.ca, we can certainly help you with that question. Otherwise, if you go on our website for English language requirements, the details as to exactly what it is that we need for the TOEFL will be noted there as well. And Tyler, if you do have a second, in addition to the Learning Abroad website, if you don't mind sharing the English language requirement website as well, that would be fantastic. Sophia, I see your question about Alberta Math. So again, if you are looking for the specific courses that we need to see for the curriculum that you are studying in, please check our website for those specific details. What is the advantage of early acceptance? So quite honestly, the only benefit of receiving a decision earlier rather than later is that you have that information and you have more time to decide. Sorry, not more time, that's not true. It just means that you hear back earlier and you know earlier whether you've received an offer of admission or not. Regardless of when you receive an offer, the deadline is still the same as to when you have to make a decision. So quite honestly, it doesn't make too much of a difference. The only difference is that you do know a little bit earlier rather than later. Of the core 8 engineering types, is there advice on how to choose from them? Which ones would you say are more hands-on and which are more study-oriented? That's a fantastic question. So, I recognize that at this point, you might not know what engineering disciplines is the best fit for you. Really, though, it does require you to do a little bit of work in terms of some reflection, thinking about your strengths, your interests, what your career goals, what your aptitudes are. So I would encourage you to not only think about what it is that you think you want out of your university experience and your potentially career goals, but also take advantage of resources like Engineering Canada, I think. They have a very good website that details specifically what various disciplines of engineering entail. So that might give you a good sense. I also encourage you to speak with current students for the different schools that you're interested in. Reach out to the students in the program that you think you're interested in to see if their experience is something that aligns similarly with what it is that you're looking for. That might be helpful as well. And then, of course, come to our open house, which you're already doing and is fantastic. But yes, it does require you to do some research and some reflection. Otherwise, there are fantastic programs like our Track On program, which is geared towards teaching you exactly what those disciplines are before you make an informed decision. So you might want to take a look at that program as well. A question here is whether engineering science students would be able to take Core 8 later on. So if you start off in the engineering science program and then you realize it's not the best fit for you, there is some flexibility with you transferring into one of the other Core 8 programs. So yes, that is a possibility. However, the other way around, where if you start off in a Core 8 program and are thinking of going to engineering science, unfortunately, that is not an opportunity. Is it possible to extend your degree over 5 years instead of 4 to lighten course load per semester? Yes, that is a possibility. But if that is something you're looking to do, we encourage you to go to your academic advisor to talk about what that looks like and how you can do that. a question here is, if I understand correctly, a co-op adds 1 year to your program, right? So it'll be 5 years instead of 4. Yes, that is correct. If you are choosing to just study, it is about 4 years in length. If you're looking to do the PUI co-op, in total, you are going to be on campus for about 5 years. Let's see here. Could you apply to computer engineering, computer science? Yes, you can. So the general rule is that you are allowed a maximum of 3 choices, to U of T and U of T, and that's 1 choice per division. And a division is either a faculty or a campus. So in total, you have 7 divisions to choose from. Computer science is offered at all 3 of our campuses, whereas computer engineering is offered at the St. George campus only. So what you could do is apply to computer engineering at the St. George campus at the Faculty of Applied Science and Engineering. And then the remaining 2 choices that you have could be either the computer science program at the University of Toronto Scarborough campus, at the Mississauga campus, or the Faculty of Arts and Science at the St. George campus. So yes, you can. All right, I have about a minute left, so I'm going to do my best to answer a question that might apply to all of you folks. Otherwise, if we don't get to your questions today, I do encourage you to email us. Tyler will put our email down in the chat for you in case you want to follow up with us or you do have any additional questions. So the last question that I'm going to access it or talk about is what will be used to determine whether or not you get your first choice after track 1. So I'm assuming that you mean the second choice program. So as I mentioned, we're basically going to look at you in order of how you rank the program. So we'll look at your first choice. If you're not eligible, then we'll look at your second choice in order until we've considered you for up to the 4 that you put down. If you do apply to track 1, which will have to be your first choice if you're not interested in engineering science and you're not eligible, then we'll automatically look at the second choice program that you ranked. If you're not eligible for that, then we'll look at your third choice and so forth. Again, whether you are eligible for admission or not will depend on your academic performance, your extracurricular involvement, as well as your responses to those 3 questions. And then finally, the last question that I will answer as we are at time is whether co-op works differently for international students. Excellent question. And the answer is no. So international students and domestic students all have access to the PUI co-op program through any of our UT engineering programs, and the process is the same. All right, so that's it for today. Thank you to all of you for putting in the questions. I do apologize for not being able to get to all of them, but there is still one more session for today. So I want to make sure that I get you there on time. Thank you, Tyler, at the back end for helping us answer all those questions and adding those links and emails to the chat. And thank you to you again for joining us for this session. If you would need to access the Daniels or the kinesiology session at 4 o'clock, please go on the virtual fall campus day website, which Tyler will share again in the chat for one last time, for you to find the link for the appropriate section. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you again for taking the time to be here this afternoon. Take care, everybody.